this is me, MBT Sky, and I am supersized late with the daily read for today, but the month energy is still in Jupiter, and we're about to come out of that, right? Because we're going into the next month. The high frequency today is Mercury. The medium frequency today is Uranus and Neptune, and the low frequency is still in Scorpio, Pluto, and then we have this overall energy sitting over here in Saturn. All right, so let's look and see what Jupiter is talking about. I'm just using one deck today, so let's see what Jupiter is talking about right now. The Page of Pentacles. So, you know, when you're dealing with Jupiter, you're dealing with being creative, you're dealing with new ideas, you're dealing with luck, you're dealing with opportunity, right? You're dealing with faith, beliefs, religions, things of that nature. But when you have the Page of Pentacles, this is pure new baby opportunities, planting the seeds, right? At the very beginnings. So, you know, this might be a good time for those to start planting and putting in new ideas and concepts. And of course it comes down in earth energy, right? So let's see what overall energy is talking about for Aries, which is in Saturn. And when you're talking about Saturn, you're talking about your employers, you're talking about authority, you're talking about you know, stabilizing foundations, investments, things like that, right? Business, very earthy energy, right? Eight of Pentacles, right? So this is about being consistent, working constantly to build, to grow, investments, things of that nature, harnessing investments, knowing what opportunities come, especially in business, things of that nature, right? All right, so let's see what Mercury is talking about. When you talk about Mercury, you're talking about like the Gemini, Virgo house in astrology. Oops, well, that's a lot going on, right? And so you got this King of Wands here. Why not, right? And you also have the Ace of Cups here, and you also have the Four of Cups. You know, there may be some communication when there's talking about, you know, a particular connection, a particular way of communicating. Let me look at the wheel, especially when you're talking about this Virgo house. And the thing that's interesting, there's a lot of water involved in there, right? So we talk about this Virgo, you're talking about service, occupations, employers, right? And maybe some communication in there. Also, when you talk about this Gemini mentality, expression, and communication, trips, neighbors, things of that nature. But outside of that, if you notice, the King of Wands is kind of looking away at the 5. And behind there's this Ace of Cups, that Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces energy. And also you're dealing with this Four of Cups energy. You know, so there may be some Aries out here, some masculines out here, some double fire energies that's kind of feeling a little bit emotionally ignored, or may not be properly communicating when it comes to dealing with their emotions, okay, causing off some isolating kind of vibrations here. You know, they may be very well focused on their occupation, on their business, to the point where they don't have the time to pay attention to, you know, the office of relationships and emotional connections right about now. So, you know, there's either Aries out here that's feeling ignored, or there's some fire sign Aries, Saturn energies that's kind of ignoring. So let's look and see what this 7 is. Now, when you talk about the 7, you talk about Uranus and Neptune. So you're talking about Pisces, you talk about Aquarius, you talk about social groups, you talk about secrets, you talk about hospitals, you talk about institutions, you talk about these type of things, right? Hopes, wishes, dreams, and desires, right? So you got this 6 of Cups that comes down here. You have this 7 of Cups that comes down here. And you have this Devil card that comes down here. Now, understand that this is still fire dominant right now. We in Aries, right? And we got this Saturn here, and then you have a lot of this water going on. There's going to be some things that come up from the past that becomes a discussion that causes confusion, and you know, it really is like the devil's advocate kind of thing. Even when you're talking about the devil, you're talking about the house of Capricorn, public reputation, honor, profession, employers, you know, authorities, elders, right? So there may be some discussions that come up. That's the whole process is about revealing someone's past activities, past people, past connections, past thoughts, past ways of being, that may really cause a lot of confusion in this overall energy of Aries and Saturn. And it really would have an individual having to think from both aspects, really, not to be bound to this type of, not to be bound, Okay, not to let the energy. So Aries, if you're the one that's participating in that, understand what you're bonding yourself to when you do things like that. And if you are the one that is that so happens to be dealing with this in your profession, then understand that you have to really play the devil's advocate. You really have to start thinking on both sides of the board in all reality, right? So let's look at this Scorpio energy right here: the death, the regeneration, the compassion, the regrouping, all of that. All right. So here you got justice that comes down. You also have the Queen of Wands that comes down, and you also have judgment comes down. You have two major arcana, so this is letting you know that this is a major situation going on here, right? And then when we dealing with judgment, you're dealing with Neptune energy, and you're also dealing with Libra energy. Now, like I told you, Aries and Libras don't usually, this Libra energy doesn't really sit well. When you're dealing with this Wands, this Queen of Wands, you're dealing with a fire water energy, which can definitely create some confusion if there is no balance. So right now, when you're dealing, the problem here is justice and balance. Is that not taking place, or is that taking place, right? It's also showing this Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands is supposed to come with compassion and love and creativity and ideas and things of that nature. Yet, if you throw her out of her element, there will be some confusion and resurrections and renewals that come down, right? So we're dealing with this Neptune kind of energy, and when you're dealing with the Neptune kind of energy, it kind of brings the the sensitivity to psychic aspects and mystical capacities and dreams and things of that, and also the higher aspects of Venus. So right now we have like three major arcanas on the board for the ending of March. Okay, there is some discussions in the lower vibrations where there is an imbalance that takes place, and it's probably based off discussion, trying to throw the scales off a little bit from past situations, experiences. You see this fire energy, this double fire energy is communication, things of that nature, business, things of that nature that might take place when you get to this Queen of Wands sitting right here. And this confusion when it comes to the emotions and emotional attachments, it can take place. When you get into the higher frequency, you get through these confusions, you understand that you have options and choices, and so you still are able to manifest the gift or get the gift of love, right? In this lower vibration, this is justice, this is lack of justice. When changes take place, injustice that takes place due to people, places, and things and experiences from the past, right? That may affect a connection or a communication with a King of Wands energy, a boss, a elder, a fire energy. Right now, when you're dealing with this judgment, the resurrection and renewal that can possibly take place, understand that in that you do not want to be in the lower aspects of the devil. And even that, people may try to reveal, oh, this individual does certain evils or is evil, and there's this sign of this aspect of rejection that may take place based upon this behavior. At the end of the day, when you're looking across the boards, you got the judgment, the resurrection of things that may cause confusion. Again, with this King of Wands, with the justice, the injustice that may create confusion and isolation. And then straight across. So pay attention to the fact that, all of these Eight of Pentacles on the board, when it's talking about invest your time wisely, invest your physical time, your mental time, your emotional time, in order to grasp the Pentacles, you have to kind of be able to manifest in all of the other elements also, right? But most importantly, what are you, in this energy of this Aries, this Jupiter, these opportunities that's possible, are the opportunities coming from the confusion and the chaos and the overindulgence and the isolation and the bringing up the things of the past and the imbalances and the refusal to tap in and see things on a higher level, sneaky behaviors and things of that nature? These are the things that would need to change inevitably and should be removed out the vibration, so that one can understand that the ones in this middle path here, the social circles, the friends and the so-called friends, and the confusion and the playing the devil's advocate and trying to play both sides of the board and having one a little bit confused about what they want to do, and the isolation is up. Is it really necessary? Is the question. So what I'm gonna do right quick, I'm not gonna put these in the way, but what I'm gonna do is Let's see what this Eight of Pentacles, this Page of Pentacles. There's a lot of earth energy sitting right here, right now. For the, primary energy. So let's see what's going on right here. Real quick. So you got air, new opportunity, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Pay attention to your Gemini, Libra, Aquarius houses. Aquarius already came up in the houses any old way. Gemini comes up in the houses any old way. Libra comes up in the houses any old way. New opportunities. Okay? New opportunities. Don't be reckless. Don't be careless. Alright? Let's see what's going on over here. Just Aries, Saturn energy real quick. The Sun, Leo energy, creativity, new ideas, new concepts. Seeing things clearly, being in a happy energy, romance, children, things of that nature. What are you investing in right now, Aries? Because it's letting you know that, there may be some Aries that's in a high frequency of day 5 of day Mercury, and they really dealing with business and, that kind of thing. They may not be paying attention to love, family, and things like that. And people may be feeling a little bit isolated, Aries, with some dominance of Saturn today, right? Some dominance of Jupiter. So I'm just throw this over the whole pile right here. How does it stay clear and in balance? Earth. So you got this Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo energy, like I was saying. So pay attention to, your Capricorn energies, your business, your honor, your profession. Pay attention to your Virgos, your services, your occupation, right? Pay attention to your Gemini energy, which comes up right, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo, right? And so pay attention to your finances, your possessions, and things of that nature. Make sure you're paying attention to your earth energies, but do it with balance, right? It's just that simple. Do it balance. That's it. And don't ignore, the office of love and emotional connection, and make people feel ignored and bring up past issues and call yourself trying to reveal things for money and prosperity out of the concept of wanting to create chaos and confusion, right? More so, you have these discussions with people of the past, and it's about options and choices, right? Not to, have one trying to pull themselves in 2 different directions. At the end of the day, make sure that everything that you're doing is in balance, is in justice, is in fairness. It's not no sneaky shenanigans. It's not about continuously, messing with somebody's ability to tap in and get what they have to do done. Because even if you are not an Aries right now, people do have Aries in a chart. People do have Saturn in a chart. People do have Jupiter in a chart. There are some people that's not within a sign, like maybe Leos that may be dominant in Aries and Saturn, that may experience these things too, or may participate in these things. It's not what you want to do, right? Make sure that the things that you are doing, you're doing it out of a good connection. And because we're in a fire and there's a decent amount of water sitting here on the board, is a decent amount of water sitting here on the board, even with the underlying energies of water sitting here. You want to kind of be careful not to create too much water. Too much water will put fire out, and too much water will saturate earth, right? So you want to kind of keep these 3 elements in balance today, and I will see y'all on the next. Sorry that I'm late. Smooches and deuces and all that good stuff.